Hello everyone. Welcome to a bit of a special episode of First Place Perspectives, where, as you can see, I'm not playing any games today. I really want to look over some of the statistics behind all the things that I say. Because a lot of you out there are probably wondering, why is this YouTuber giving me all these facts, and why are they helping me with all the games, and what's the point of getting that extra 10% chance if I've already got a 70% chance of winning? Why do I need that extra 10% to get to me to 80? Well, the answer is kind of simple and kind of complex. So, we're going to be coming back to this spreadsheet in a second, but I really should start at the start of the entire thing. So what you see here is the spreadsheet that I've been using for this entire season. Whenever I reference some spreadsheet data or anything like that in one of my videos, this is where it's coming from. It's 176 games, technically 177, but when I was making the videos, this one wasn't in there. So 176 games of data is how I built all my statistical models, and how I can say things like, I win 88% of the time in X game. And as you can see, it's kind of colored already based on the games that I've already done and games that I've already decided that I'm going to do in the future, but overall, this is where it all starts. And from there, I played the games. I filled out the spreadsheet one round at a time. Every single time I had a game, I would come down to the bottom and I would add in the date, and then I'd go through. I'd say Seesaw was the game, and maybe I got 22nd, and you go across the list until you have a finished round. From here, you can go and calculate things like your binomial distribution chance. Now, I mentioned this in my other statistics video, and I encourage you to look at it before because it covers Season 1 games in more depth and kind of shows which games are luck and which games are skill-based. We'll touch on that in a second as well, but overall, you can think of all of these games as a binomial distribution, which means in the simplest form, you have a chance to pass or fail the game. If you pass the game, or the round, or the episode, whatever you want to call it, then you win a crown. If you fail, then you have lost at some point along the way, right? It doesn't matter if it's round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4, round 5, or even round 6 if you get there. What matters is that you lost. So you have this binomial distribution, which is the pass and fail mechanic of the game. Now, very quickly, it becomes apparent that if you want to pass more, you can't just be good at one game. I have some sample data in this table already. This is a pretty stacked lineup. If you have this, then you have a 9.88% chance to get one crown. But you can start looking down the list and say, okay, well, what is my chance of getting seven crowns or more? 78% chance. That's pretty good. And you can see, based off the statistics that you've given it, it's forecasting that you're going to get at least one crown if you win 9% of the time. Now, remember, I have this whole spreadsheet that I've been using to track, which means every time I have a victory, I know that. So I've made a program in Python to calculate all this, take this data, and put it into a meaningful output. It's just a file that holds every single event, my win percentage, and the average number of players that pass through to the next course. So from here you can see, yes, I'm better than average for perfect match. Now this is avoiding all of the statistical stuff, which might say you're only 17% away from the average. Maybe that's not statistically significant. But again, for the simplistic nature of this, we can assume that this number is higher than this number, therefore I'm better at the game. And for these kinds of things with 24 games of data, or 48 games of data, or 37 games of data, it's pretty accurate, especially for these large disparities. So the difference between a 69% and a 100% over 37 games of data, that's statistically significant. I don't have to run a calculation on that. I can just tell. And you get to a point where the percentage win rate kind of reaches the average win rate. Now, if you have seen my first video, you know that these kinds of games, Egg Siege, Tail Tag, Tiptoe, these were all suspect for luck-based games instead of skill-based games, because even somebody that is a good player should have some sort of edge in some games. And that is obvious in the race games up at the top in Perfect Match. But once you get down to this area where you don't really know if it's luck or skill, it makes you start to wonder, like, is this a skill-based matchup? Is it a luck-based matchup? So that's what I initially wanted to learn. But at the same time, it's branched out to the videos that I've shown you. The desire to teach everybody else how I get through all the games more often than others. Now, as I said before, this does kind of play around with the idea of binomial distributions, and this is kind of what's called a multiplicative effect that goes across these. So to generate just a basic example, if all of these are zeros, you can assume that you're never going to make it to a crown. That's saying you always win round 1 and you always get knocked out in round 2. But once you start bumping these numbers up, you can see very slowly, we can put this 20% back in, the bar graph changes. You start to have a chance, although small, you start to have a chance of getting a crown every 100 rounds. In this case, you have a 2.5% chance at getting a crown, so it looks like you'd be aiming somewhere around 2 or 3 crowns, maybe 1 crown every 100 rounds. That should say 100. There we go. Now, of course, the point of this video is to show you that the other videos that I make do have merit. So let's plug in some real numbers instead of just talking about it in this abstract kind of manner. So we'll pull some numbers from the PDF that I just showed. We'll pull 2 race games, followed by a team game, and then Wall Guys, because it's a new game, and they're pushing it a lot. If you didn't notice, the number of games that I've played in Wall Guys is ridiculously high compared to the other ones. I believe it was 48 of 176 games. So we're looking at about a third of the time I play this game. So we'll put that in the 4th slot, and the 5th slot is always a showdown round. Now, there are some disparities in this. You can see these like red dotty boys. Those are the ones that are either Fall Mountain, Jump Showdown, Royal Fumble, or whatever the other one is, Hexagon. I almost forgot it right there. So you can see there are some disparities. This Jump Showdown happened in round 4, but in the most cases, it'll be a round 5 game that is one of those 4. So we'll keep that in mind as we go through these. So coming back to the spreadsheet, we can fill in the averages, the theoretical averages for the win rates to set our baseline. So let's pull 2 games from this. Let's do, and we'll do the same games for both. So we'll do Gate Crash and Night Fever. So round 1, you get Gate Crash. There's a 69% chance to win. Night Fever, 69%. So let's do 1 at 70 and 1 at 69. And you can see the graph's already starting to change. Now let's throw in, let's say, let's just find the first one that is a team game. Let's do Rollout. See, I'm really bad at Rollout. Or no, I'm really good at Rollout. Wait, Rollout's not a game. What am I talking about? A little lower, Egg Siege. Egg Siege is new, but it might be a luck win. So let's pull this one. So 65% of the time. So let's throw that in there and say, in round 3, you have a 66% chance to win. Now going into round 4, we already mentioned it's going to be Wall Guys. So let's go up to Wall Guys. Here it is. Over 26 games, we have a 57% clear rate. So let's put in 57.5 to be a little more precise. It'll round up to 58, but you can see in this box right here, it's still 57.5. And then for the final round, let's choose one of my favorite games. Probably let's do Hexagon. But it doesn't really matter which one we choose, because you'll see this one has a 10% chance, which is Jump Showdown. And let's see if we can find another one. Hexagon, 10% chance. Fall Mountain, 10% chance. So 10% chance to get through. So let's just throw that in there as a constant value, because in most cases, there will be 10 people on average left in the round. If you are getting the crown, then you are that 1 in 10. Therefore, it's a 10% chance. Now, at the end of all this, we have a 1.83% chance of winning 1 crown. If we were just going to throw hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people into these games, we would expect that 1.83% of their games would be wins. Unfortunately, 84% of the time, they won't win a crown in 100 games. And that's a little sad, but it makes sense in terms of the math. And I just noticed that this should actually say percent chance of more than X crowns, because we want to subtract the current amount. So here we have 15.7%. So there, that's our 100% as these two. So 84% chance to get more than 1 crown. That's pretty good. But as you go down the list, like the chance of getting 3 or more crowns is only 10% in 100 games. Put that into real world perspectives. How long does it take to play 100 games of Fall Guys? At 8 minutes each, or even if you push like 6 minutes. 6 minutes a round times 100 rounds is 600 minutes. That's 10 hours of play. So that's a lot of time to invest into a game. And if you take the top end of all this, 12 minutes a game is probably 20 hours of work for 3 crowns. Now map that onto the favorite skin that you have in the shop. If it's worth 10 crowns, then you're sunk. You're not going to make it, dude. Like that's going to be, what? Anywhere between 300 and 600 games for a single skin, or a skin pair, I should say. This is why I talk about it so much. The average player doesn't win. Let that sink in. The average player doesn't win. So stop doing the same thing over and over again and learn how to be better at the game. Otherwise, you're just going to flounder at this point where Yeah, maybe you make 2 crowns in a season, so in season 7, you can buy like a skin and a half. Now, of course, they have addressed this with the level up rewards, but it's tied to the same thing. You put in a lot of time and get a little reward. Let's put in my scores. Let's go with the best case scenario first. So I know, because I practice these games so much, that if I get any of these games, look at these win rates. 48 games, 100 win. 24 games, 100 win. 37 games, 100% win. Even these ones, 97, 97, 92. If I get any of the race games, which is the first 2 rounds, I'm feeling pretty confident that I'm going to win. Now, Hit Parade's a little low, and DoorDash is a little low, but any of the other ones, Seesaw, Whirligig, Gate Crash, Night Fever, those are all great. Especially Night Fever. I've made a video about this. I've won every single game I've played. So if I get this game, it's in terms of this multiplicative effect, you've basically just knocked out this round. And if you can do that twice, then you're only looking at a multiplication across 3 percentages. And we'll do that just very quickly right now. We'll change these 2 to 100, and just watch this 1.83. That's crazy. We just doubled it. Just by saying, don't get knocked out in a race round. Be in the top 70% for 2 rounds in a row. And you're looking at a potential of getting 4 crowns 33% of the time in 100 games. Now still, that's super low. So we're going to bump this number up a little more, but it's miles ahead. You have a chance, a very small chance, but you have a chance of getting 10 crowns in 100 rounds. And remember, if we want 10 crowns for that skin, 100 rounds was about 600 minutes to 1200 minutes, somewhere between 10 and 20 hours. So to get that 10 crowns now in 10 to 20 hours, instead of, 40, 50, 60 hours, 100 hours even, that's crazy. You are miles ahead of the competition just by clearing these 2 games better. Now let's bump these up a little more, because we can use the same numbers as we did for the first round. So we're going to keep this one the same, because usually it's a team game, and most team games are luck-based because of the whole team dynamic. For round 4, though, let's go back to our wall guys. Remember, this was a 58% average clear rate. Now, wall guys for me, because I really love the game and I put a lot of effort into being good at it, I've got an 84.5%, so let's just bump that up to 85. Now you can already guess this is going to change the number a lot, so we're going to go from 3.8 up to 5.6%. So every 20 games, you are looking to get a win. In 100 rounds, you have a 50% chance to get those 5 crowns. And for 10, you have a 2.5%. That's an actual percentage value. Like before it was just like, oh, well, a 0.1% chance. Well, I guess it's there. Yeah, it's there, but are you really winning? Are you really winning enough, I should say? Now you're looking at an actual percent chance to do better than you were before. Now let's go back and let's revert these numbers back to where they were, just to give you an idea of where we came from. Remember, these were the average values. This is the average player. Looking at maybe 7 crowns. And now, just by bumping the numbers up to a higher level, which, it's a best case scenario, but still, we're looking at a 5.61% chance, which gives us the same maybe case of 0.1, 13 crowns. 13. That's so much higher. And we haven't even touched round 5 yet. This is still the average 10% win rate. So let's bump this up even more. Let's pull 2 games. So we do have Hexagon here with the 30%. And up here, we have Jump Showdown with the 50%. So let's do both of those numbers. Let's start with the 30. So we're pulling this 10% up from 10 to 30. So we're tripling our win rate for the final round. And look at that graph. We're off the page. I need to make this graph bigger. Hold up. I have to actually make this graph bigger. All right, and with a quick jump skip there, so we've made this table a little bit better so that it can really capture this crazy win percent. It's going to get a little crazier in a bit, but this is if I had Hexagon every single time as a final round. We're looking at a 16% chance to win. That's crazy. Remember, we were looking at a 1 and a bit percent chance before. I think it was like 1.44, 1.28, something like that. Now, we're looking at an opportunity to never get less than 6 crowns. And the 50% chance is 16 rounds. Remember, that's the same 10 to 20 hours of work. We're looking at 16 crowns instead of, what was it again? 2? 3? And that's just from getting a little bit better at all the games. And this one's even worse, or, well, better in this case. I won't extend this graph any farther, but look at this. We're looking at an 11% chance to get 33 crowns in 100 rounds. 11%. That means 1 in 10 chance, well, even closer, 1 in 9 chance that I get 33 crowns every 100 rounds. That's boggling. That's three full skins, 3 legendary skins every 20 hours of work. And you can see this graph isn't done. There's a totally different side to this. We're only just coming down here, so this could extend down to, let's say, we're about 3 off of here, so the 2% chance is probably around 37 crowns. The 1% chance is probably around 39 or 40 crowns. So there's a non-zero chance that with this win rate, which in fairness, it is extremely high and definitely the best case scenario, you're looking at getting up to 40 crowns. Now, as I said, this is a little bit over the top because there are games that I do lose. The long and the short of it is just boosting these values by a little bit. Remember, these two values can easily be 100. This 94 and 84. Easily 100s. Easily 100s. And then it's just working on those final games. So the 80s and the 77s and the 10s. If you can get this one up, we saw huge market increases just by going from 10 to 20% because it literally just doubles your win rate. So if you can get really good at just things like Hexagon and Jump Showdown and games where you can guarantee that it's a skill-based game and you can always win it, or at least win it more than the average, you can say, yes, I have a 12% win rate. Yes, I have an 18% win rate. Now, of course, there's the realistic factors that come into play, like, you're going to get Fall Mountain about half the time, and that pulls your win rate down. But just knowing that going into round 5, if you see Hexagon or Jump Showdown, or if you're really good at it, Fall Mountain, your win rates skyrocket. And that's what we were trying to do with these first place perspectives. I'm trying to show you the ways to become better at the game so that you can move one of these numbers closer and closer to 100%. So then it's a non-factor in this equation. Removing 2 of these drastically changed our theoretical chance of 1 crown. Remember, this is 1.7%, 1.4%, something like that. Now we're at 6. That's 3 or 4 times more than it was before. So keep all this in mind. Remember, it's not about just being good at one game. You have to be good at all of them and bring them all up together. But learning the techniques for each game that you struggle at will allow you to have a better chance of getting that first place perspective. And that's what I want out of all this. I want my viewers of this channel to do better, to be better, and enjoy the game. If that means winning, that's great. But if it just means getting through that game that you have had such a trouble with, that's what I want. Anyways, that's all for now. Thank you very much for watching this a little bit of an unorthodox video, but I hope it opened up your eyes. I'll put this Excel spreadsheet available in the description alongside the full spreadsheet that I showed before. And as always, thank you for watching. Good luck in Fall Guys, and I truly hope that you have the opportunity to reach your own first place perspective.